Hello and welcome to a look at Cannon Fodder for the Amiga, a game that was made by Sensible Software and released by Virgin. There's no plot in Cannon Fodder, but there is an overarching objective, which is to complete 24 missions, each divided into a number of phases, each containing various sub-objectives that you have to complete in order to complete the phase, and complete all the phases in order to complete the mission. Early on in the game will ease you in by having simple objectives and introducing you to the extra weapons that you can obtain and will obtain in later phases missions, and as such teach you how the game plays and how different weapons are supposed to be used. It doesn't take long for the game to start increasing quite dramatically in difficulty, and what is seemingly quite an easygoing, easy game suddenly turns out to be an outright challenge of high degree, despite its relative simplicity. As you start the game, you have access to 15 recruits that you can use for the mission at hand, and every single time you complete a mission, you will be granted 4 additional recruits. And as you can possibly imagine, if you ever run out of recruits, game over. As your troopers complete missions, they will get promoted to higher ranks, and higher ranks means that they will be more accurate with their gunfire, have the ability to throw grenades further and that kind of stuff. So obviously trying to keep your troopers alive for as long as possible is a good idea. You can make certain later missions significantly easier when you have high ranking troopers to make use of in order to complete the various different objectives. The troopers by default has access to machine guns, which can be used to shoot stuff. This is highly surprising to anyone. But later on they will gain access to hand grenades and bazookas, and those are used predominantly to get rid of enemy structures, but can of course also be used to get rid of various other solid objects, jeeps and that kind of stuff, and lack of more direct approach can also be used against troops. The difference between the two weapon types, of course, is the fact that the grenades can be lobbed over obstacles, whereas bazookas are a direct fire weapon. And that is something to be very, very mindful of, because a bazooka being fired at something, if there's something in between the something you're trying to hit, the bazooka will go back when it hits that something in between. And if any of your troopers or all of your troopers are very, very close to that in-between object, your troopers are going to have a very, very bad day, because while the machine gun fire does not employ friendly fire, anything else that can go bang definitely does. And that is something that becomes gameplay relevant later on, and I will get to that. Depending on the mission and the phase of the mission, you will have different sub-objectives that you need to complete. Kill all enemies means exactly what it says, kill all enemies and anything hostile, which in earlier missions is relatively simple, but can become rather complicated later on, because anything hostile means anything hostile. Troopers, jeeps, tanks, gun emplacements, choppers, whatever else that might be able to cause bodily harm to your troopers. Destroy enemy structures means exactly that. Blow up the structures. Anything that has a door is considered to be a structure of importance. And in that regard, you do not need to worry about killing off the troopers, even though you likely want to minimize the incoming firepower. Then you will have combined missions where you have to kill all enemies and destroy all structures, and you can likely get out for yourself what that entails. Later on, you will get missions such as protect the civilians and guide the hostage and that kind of stuff, which is always fun and fun. Maybe not. Let's do technical side of things. Various different people have various different opinions about various different things, and of course the opinion of the graphics and that kind of stuff in this game is as varied as the opinion of anything else. But personally, I think the graphics work extremely well. I wouldn't necessarily say it's comedic, but I definitely have a feeling that sensible software designed the look of the game in such a way as to try and take the worst sting out of the concept of shooting enemies and blowing up buildings. And as such, I think the graphics for the intended tone works extremely well. You can always ask for more detail in on various different objects and all that kind of stuff, but by and large, I think as a whole, the graphics are between good and excellent and very, very fitting for the game. When it comes to sound design, the sound effects are of a very high quality overall, but personally I do find the gun sound can get a touch repetitive after a while, most likely because you listen to it as much as you end up doing. The music, the jingles, and other musical assets are of a very, very high quality. The title tune I have left out for my own reasons, but it is something that is very easy to find if you are intending to listen to it, and if nothing else, you can always play the game. Both the sound effects and music, by the way, is done by Richard Joseph, whom I consider to be for the Amiga what Rod Hopper was for the Commodore 64. The game is exclusively controlled by the use of the mouse, and the overarching quality of the controls will largely depend on the quality of your mouse. I haven't bumped into anything in the game that made me feel like my controls were not responding to what I was trying to do. You use left click to move your troops and right click to fire machine guns, and while firing machine guns you can tap the left mouse button in order to make use of any special weapon you may have available, whether it's hand grenades, bazookas, or turret weapons, or vehicle weapons, or that kind of stuff. The gameplay is, at surface level, relatively simple. You just run in with men and shoot other men and blowing up structures and that kind of stuff, and everything is fun and fine and all that kind of thing. But the game is actually deceptively complex despite its simplicity. Especially on later missions, I wouldn't necessarily say the game has a puzzle element, but in order to beat the different objectives, you definitely find yourself in situations where you have to do certain things in a certain order in order to have a chance to succeed. A bit like in later Commandos games where get rid of that soldiers in order to get access to that sniper, in order to get access to freeing the hostages kind of thing. You may have to get rid of a man with a bazooka in order to get access to a turret, in order to blow up another turret, in order to get access to yet another turret that can be used to blow up a protected building. And only by trial and error can you get a feeling for what it is you need to do. And that kind of gameplay may not be for everyone. I'm certain that if you play this game, or if you have played this game at one point or another, you will find yourself screaming at your computer, your monitor, your mouse, your keyboard, your neighbor, the birds, the cats, whatever else you may have available to scream at, because the game can feel extremely frustrating and punishing at times, because you are in the process of completing a difficult mission, and then suddenly you overlook the guy with a bazooka that thinks that blowing up your tubes is going to make his day much better, and of course it's not going to make your day particularly exciting. If the style of gameplay seems remotely appealing to you, Cannon Fodder is definitely a high quality game and can be extremely enjoyable, but it can also be very, very frustrating. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.